introduce myself here first, but unfortunately I can't. You'll learn why in the next few minutes. More than that, there are plenty of details in this story that will have to remain secret for safety reasons. I probably shouldn't even tell the story in the first place, but it's all been so hard over the last few weeks that I just need to get it off my chest. Flashback. 2 years ago. I'm a regular 14-year-old with no bigger problem than stress at school or being bored on the weekends. I have several really good friends, no enemies, and a great family. It's just my parents and I. I've always known that my dad had something to do with finance, economics, and, well, stuff like that. I wasn't that interested, to be honest. I thought it was a regular day job, like most of the other dads have. So I didn't get too suspicious when a couple of men in suits appeared at our house to talk with my dad, who seemed puzzled. But it was hard not to notice that something was wrong when the next time they came, they took my dad with them. Again, I'm sorry, I can't get into details, but the story was that my dad, who had never been any kind of gangster or anything, was involved in a crime. So that night he was basically arrested. He came back pretty soon afterward because, as I learned later, he had agreed to help in an investigation and he was now a witness, and apparently he was in danger. I never asked about who these people were that could put us in danger because I didn't really want to know that much about what my dad was up to. It's all over now, and that's the only thing that matters. Long story short, our family was going to be part of the Witness Protection Program, and that was when the nightmare started. The first part of us getting into it was not that exciting. We stayed at our house, but there was always a police car outside for our safety. I couldn't really walk anywhere on my own anymore. I was taken to school and then back home, and basically stayed inside for the rest of the day. I could still visit my friends every once in a while, but I had to keep my mouth shut about the program, of course. So, life got more stressful. But compared to what was waiting ahead, it was all no big deal. I didn't know it at the time, but while this was happening, things were being prepared to move us to a different part of the country. So, imagine how shocked I was to learn one morning that I had to pack my things, only the essentials, because we were leaving that same night. I guess the officials advised my parents to not tell me anything in case I wouldn't be able to keep it a secret. Anyway, at 2 a.m, we got into a van and never looked back. The driver was a man I did not know who kept silent the whole time, and our coordinator was also with us in the front seat. We drove for the whole night, and then for the next day, rarely making any stops. Finally, we arrived in a town I had never even heard of. The house was ready for us, and you could tell that everything was hastily arranged. Everything we needed for life was there, but it was not a home at all. It was a living space. But it was still okay. I was so exhausted I didn't care. All I needed was a shower and a bed. And over the next couple of days, I learned how our life was going to change. I don't even know where to start. What we got was basically a new life. We were allowed to keep our first names, but we got a new last name. My dad got a job as an accountant at a fairly small local company, and I got a place at a new school. Now we had to learn the legend about why we moved to this part of the country, where we used to live, and what my family had done for all these years. And while this was all a little exciting, it was also frightening. It took me several weeks to get used to my new last name, and a couple of times I almost said the old one out loud in class. Oh, one of the last things our coordinator told me, he instructed each of us personally, was that the danger was so serious. Everyone in our hometown had to think we were dead. So we had to cut all of our ties with friends and relatives. Now, that part was a total shock. A little later, I learned that there was even a news story about the 3 of us dying in a car crash, and local police confirmed it. That meant a lot of things. But the most shocking one to me was that all my friends now basically thought I was dead, and that I could never, literally never, see them, text them, or talk to them again. But you know, my family's safety was at stake, so I guess we all just had to move on. After all, it was way more stressful for my mom and dad than it was for me. And That was the first time I was glad I never had grandmas or grandpas. That's a whole other couple of stories, really. We only had a couple of distant relatives who wouldn't notice if we lost touch. And over time, with it being really weird at first, I got used to my new life. I even made a couple of friends here. It's been a little more than a year since all of this happened, and I thought I was ready for anything. Well, it turned out that I was not. Throughout this year, I got emotional now and then, and I checked my past life friends on social media to see what was going on in their lives. And of course, my previous page had to be abandoned. Once I almost logged in unintentionally. Thankfully, I caught myself, so they had no idea I was online. But about a year after we vanished, I looked them up again, and what I saw was overwhelming. Exactly 12 months after our car crash, all of my friends posted pictures I was in and wrote about how they missed me and how painful this story was to all of them, and how it profoundly changed them. I just wanted to scream. These posts were so full of love and kindness and sadness and pain. I just burst into tears. I wanted to run to them, to hug them, and to say it was all okay, that I was here. But that just cannot happen. Please, appreciate those who are around you, because you have no idea what life might bring you tomorrow. I'm sure me and my family will all be fine. I feel much better now that I let this out. I hope my story gets made into a video. Please,